Hello, seed starters. How you doing? You hanging in there? Because holy smokes, it's all happening. So between the fact that there seems like there's a whole bunch of seeds that get started in that 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date period, as well as the fact that many of us, including me here in southeastern Wisconsin zone, technically 6A, I'm going to call it 5B, 6A till I get sick of saying that. We've had a really warm winter. So I'm freaking out a little bit and starting some things earlier than I would normally be doing it because I'm like, well, I guess we're just like jumping straight into spring here. I don't know what's happening. So there's a lot of seeds to start. There's also a lot of seeds that I have already started. I have not done any seed starting videos this year. I have done so many different seed starting videos. I'll put some in the description below if you're looking for some other. I've done all the different ways you can start seeds. I've done basic seed starting stuff. I've done seed starting gear. You get the idea. There's been a lot. But today we're going to start some seeds. And I'm going to show you basically how I've been starting almost everything this year, which is totally the lazy man's way out of it. I just do not have time or frankly space to be starting everything in individual cells. So I am broadcast sowing almost everything into pots and small flats. And then I'm pricking things out. I'm finding this to be a little bit easier to manage space on my heat mats. So I have a bunch of things set up for various things here. But what I've done is I've been using these little quarter flat, I don't know what these are. Quarter flat? I think you can fix 6 of these in a regular flat. And I fill these up like 3/4 of the way with seed starting mix. Now I have already sieved some seed starting mix into these because I'm a glutton for punishment. You do not need to do that. However, I'll tell you why I did it. I did it because I'm having a hard time, again, finding a seed starting mix that I love. I don't particularly care to be making my own, although after you sieve it, you'd wonder why. And one of the ones I got actually seems great, except it has very large pieces of perlite in it. I don't particularly like perlite in potting mixes to begin with. I think there are better things you can use to get drainage in there. I definitely don't like big chunks of perlite in seed starting mix. So by sieving those out, I think you can see that I just ended up with small bits of perlite, which is perfectly fine. It's a nice lofty thing. Now, I have not moistened this. We're going to get to that part afterwards. Listen, there's so many different ways you can do this. At the end of the day, as long as your soil ends up moist at the end, you're good. Let's get into a few. We're not, obviously this is a small fraction of things I'm starting, but I did just want to talk through a few things. I kind of grabbed them randomly. Oh no. Oh my God. All right. I'm only going to leave this in because that was about as good of a blooper as you can get. This little packet, I cut through the packet. So when I opened up the packet full of the tiniest little Nicotiana seeds, because I know Nicotiana a lot of lime green, I couldn't find the seeds, and that's because they're all over the floor and all over my table here. Okay, well, we'll work with this. This is not really the way I think you should deal with Nicotiana seeds, but I don't know what else to do. So we'll just wipe them in there. Okay. I've been using vermiculite on the top of pretty much all my seedlings. I don't know. Since I started growing seeds, I think. I've been doing this forever, and I think it works. I like it. It's really good for these. Nicotiana needs light to germinate. This is a really fine vermiculite. Sometimes it's really chunky. This is a really fine one. Okay, now we've done that. So now I have this little tamper thing. This came as a set with a mini dibber. I'll see, it's from Amazon, I think, although it says made in England on it. Anyway, so what I do is then I go through and I just sort of lightly tamp this so that we make sure that that seed has good contact with the soil. I don't even know if there's going to be seeds on one side of this pot. And then I stick it in, I have a flat over here with water. About 1 inch of water in it, and I just stick it in there, and it'll soak up from the bottom. In we go. I will mist the top of this with my mister. I did not bring my mister over here. Okay, well that is the end of my Nicotiana lime green seeds. Okay, next I'm going to do a little bit of bronze fennel. Bronze fennel will, like all umbellifers, I shouldn't say all, but most umbellifers, you know, those sort of flat umbrella shaped flowers are pretty good reseeders. And certainly bronze fennel, which Renee's calls this swallowtail fennel. I'm assuming it's the same thing. It's what I have growing out there. What I'm trying to get is that they will reseed around your garden, and sometimes they can be aggressive about it, and you should just be a little careful about that and keep an eye out for them and move them where you don't want them. Okay, planting depth on these is a 1/2 inch. I'm not even going to worry about it too much. I'm going to just make a few little divots here, and I'm just going to, I don't know how my seeds are going to end up here, but 1/2 inch deep on those. Did I talk about why I'm growing this? No, I didn't. It's a beautiful, I love it as a beautiful, just kind of filler flower. It looks really great. Great texture for the foliage. I like the flowers in bouquets. And better, you get swallowtail butterfly. Okay, next up is creeping zinnia. Now, this is one I think I've talked about in a previous video. I have grown the Proven Winners version of this. This is San Vitale percumbens. And I've grown the Proven Winners version of this before, and I love it. I think it's the nicest little annual colorful ground cover. I just thought it was so charming, but it's the kind of thing that I want a lot of. So that's why I'm going to try to grow it from seed and see how I like it, because every time I buy an annual ground cover, it's like, you know, in order to make a ground cover make sense, you need to buy so much of it. So if I can find a seed option to grow that, or another way to grow that rather than having to buy a whole bunch of 4-inch pots, that's good. So this is a surface sow situation. And I have also read some information on this that says it does not like to be transplanted. So I'm going to save some of these. And if we have problems, I can always try direct sowing them. Direct sowing is tough in my garden because it's such a established garden that I just feel like a lot of plants, like seeds, don't get enough light to germinate properly. By the way, I've already pre-written my labels, and I always write the date that I'm sowing something on the label. Because it's really important when you're going back to your seeds and you're wondering, like, why didn't this germinate yet? And you want to go back and say, oh, well, it's because it takes 20 days to germinate or whatever. So you have a better idea if you know when you sowed it. Not to mention, it's just good for future reference to know how it grows, especially like when you're growing something like this is for the very first time. Okay, another thing I'm growing for the first time from seed, but have oh, wow, look at that. Okay. Surprises inside every seed pack. This is I'm growing for the first time from seed. This is alyssum, lobularia. Again, it's another plant. I find it adapts well to shade. I love to stick it around, and it's another one of those plants that I just like to have extras on hand, and I just would like to see if I can grow a decent plant and like how the plant performs if I grow it from seed. So that I know, like, is it worth spending the money to buy a 4-inch annual every year on this? So the seeds are, it says it's got film coat on it, which must be like proprietary. Perhaps this is from Geo Seeds. Anyway, yellow little guys. So one of the things that I find is really hard when you're broadcast sowing these things is to not plant too many. I always do. I mean, I'm going to sit here and tell you don't do it, and then you're going to watch me pour God knows how many seeds. You know, there will definitely be more seeds when you broadcast sow that won't come up. So if you're short on seeds, I probably wouldn't broadcast sow. I'd probably go directly into cells. So in addition to space under lights, I'm obviously aiming here for speed at this point in the process. I will lose time on the overall time that the process takes later on, because I will have to individually prick out all these seedlings and put them into cells at that point. So we're touching the plants one more time than we would be. But for right now, when I have all these seeds to sow, this is really the only way that makes sense for me from a space and time perspective. So that one is heavy. So that's how I tell that this one is soaked up pretty good. I don't see signs of moisture on the top, and that's why we're going to mist this with the mister. But the soil has definitely soaked up water. Oh, gotta put the label in. Sculpit. Some of you probably know this. It's an herb. I don't know why I bought this. I bought it for a reason somewhere along the line. I mean, I know recently. It came not too long ago. Something about this, I either saw somebody else planting it, I saw a video about it, I saw it somewhere. Maybe when I was buying seeds from Uprising. By the way, nice seed packet, right? Pretty. Maybe that's what it was. And maybe I thought, oh, well, as long as I'm ordering, I'll throw this in there. It's a culinary herb, but it gets really pretty flowers on it. And I don't know. We're going to try it. Usually when it comes to seed, you generally sow them like almost equal to their height. So these are more tiny little guys. So we're just going to surface sow these. I don't need a lot of these. Another new one for me is Didiscus. Again, look at this great seed packet. I don't think that's what color they are. They're blue lace flower. Again, I saw this somewhere, thought, oh, I'll try that. And that's about mostly what I know about it. So this is sort of similar to a tomato seed. It says cover lightly. So those are things that I know I probably want a little bit more of. When it comes to things I don't need a ton of, I just go with this is a 3-inch pot. A lot of times I'll do 4-inch pots. I grabbed 3 because, have I mentioned that space is at a premium. Anchusa azurea, drop more. I had not known this plant until I looked it up, and then I saw it, and it's gorgeous blue flowers. Big seeds on this, but it says it needs light to germinate. Obviously, many of these are experiments for me because I'm not even telling you that much about them. And the answer is I don't know much about them yet, other than what I can go read. Ageratum or ageratum. I like a little bit of this mixed around the front of the border. I don't need a ton of it. And it does sometimes, I think it recedes for me, I think. Did I mention that this is Dondo Blue, which is a variety that I like? There are so many ageratums out there from 8 inches to 30 inches. So there's probably one that will suit what you want. What I know about this is that it likes some fertilizer pretty quick after you get her moving on. I just remembered there was a reason I set the Didiscus aside, and that's because Didiscus needs needs darkness to germinate. So I'm going to set that one aside and make sure that I cover that properly. What I do when a plant needs darkness to germinate, and by the way, they mean darkness. They don't just mean like not under a light. They mean like darkness. I would usually just take foil and cover it with foil. Okay, Scabiosa Sternkugel. I like this one. The flowers are nothing I would ever grow. Also, look at these cute seeds. The flowers on this plant are nothing that I would ever have a need for. I don't think the foliage is particularly pretty on this plant, but the seed heads are so cool. And I think I think a lot of Scabiosas have these really cool seed heads, but this one in particular, I think, is typically grown for its seed heads. So that is why we grow this. I just put a few of these in the cut flower beds in the vegetable garden. Strawflower, king size salmon. I thought this one, which was a little bit bigger, might be kind of fun. Again, this is something I grow in the cut flower beds in the vegetable garden because I like them in bouquets. I don't think strawflowers personally, they're not like a garden plant kind of thing for me. They're more of a cut flower. Nicotiana hot chocolate, a favorite Nicotiana. It's a tall one though, 3 to 4 feet. So I don't use it as much as I use some of the shorter ones, but I do like it. So I'm going to sow a small pot of them. So something to note about Nicotiana is they do not like being cramped in a pot. It really slows them down. So I don't actually know if broadcast sowing is the right way to go with these. It may not be. I'm trying it. I don't know if I've done it before or not. But I will have to really keep an eye on these and move these on quickly into their own pots once they germinate. Here's another plant that I've never grown before, but I bought it for a reason, so we better figure out why. Trachelium ceruleum. Lake Michigan bloom. If I am doing exactly what I'm doing right now and starting seeds and didn't make notes about it, and because like GeoSeeds doesn't put any seed information on the packet, you know what I do? I Google the name of the plant and hit how to grow from seed. So some of these plants that I don't know, like this one, these are things that I'll use as fillers in the garden. So for something like this, I'll sow a few more, because if I'm going to plant a filler, I like to repeat it a little bit. I don't just want 3 plants. Last but not least, for right this moment, is Dichondra Silver Falls. This is definitely one that I just added onto a seed order because I was ordering one thing from, I think this is from Swallowtail, and I thought, why not try it? See what happens. I don't know how quickly this grows. I don't know if these plants will be big enough by the time I'm going to be wanting to put them in containers. But a pack of seeds is cheap. And I figured as long as we're starting everything else in the world, why not give it a shot? Only 10 seeds in this packet. All right, off to the seed starting area. Okay, let me show you what's going on here right now. So we still have my 2 rolling racks. I have a total of 6 lights. I have another light I can call into service if need be. It just can't hang here. This top shelf is all dahlias. These are the dahlias grown from cuttings. So here's one. I think I just potted this one up like today or yesterday. But then I've also taken the dahlia tubers that I was using as the mother plants for the cuttings, and I've taken those out and potted those up too, because now that they're growing, they kind of keep going. You can't just stop them and put them back into storage. So that's one of the tubers that I potted up. So we're going to have a lot of HS dahlias. This middle shelf right now is sort of storage. But when those plants get taller, I can put them on this rack instead. It's a complicated thing. I have a heat mat over here and a heat mat over here. Down here are my bromeliads, which might be getting a little more light than they should, although they're the full sun ones. Some aqualegia down here that has sprouted. I'm waiting for that. Those are all cotyledons. I'm waiting for that to get a set of true leaves, and then I'll thin those out. Here we have, these are kind of interesting. These are tall cells, kind of nice. Purple bellvine in the front here. So we've got 10 of those growing right now. And then back here we have mahogany splendor hibiscus. First time, last year I couldn't get that to grow, and this year it popped up in 2 days. So who's to say what's going on there? Anyway, those are, especially the bellvine is a heat lover, so I'm leaving that on the heat mat, even though it has already sprouted. Peppers, you can see I have sown my peppers the same way I sowed everything else here with broadcast sowing. So probably like these guys already are just starting to get their true leaves. So probably tomorrow I will separate these into their own cells. These are the verbena that had the incident. And you can see, like this guy, I don't know if you can see this guy. This guy right here is toast. But some of them are still, this is Verbena bonariensis vanity. So I think I lost a lot of them. And I think it's because I'm using, I think this is a 72 count cell. They're just so tiny that they just dry out so quickly. So I just don't prefer to use this size cell as much. Right here, though, we have tassel flower. More tassel flower in these 2 rows. This is Salvia argentea, and you can tell because you can see how it has all the fuzzy leaves on it. So cute. Foxglove and snapdragons. Those probably, I should put those probably on the bottom shelf because, see, I've got things in a bad tray here. I should not have put the Salvia argentea, which like the heat, with these guys, which would prefer it a little bit cooler. It's not hot in this basement at all. In fact, sometimes I think it's too cool to grow some of these things on, but these like it cooler. I have started a little bit of lettuce, same thing. They'd prefer it cooler. I'm going to transplant those out to the vegetable garden in a little bit here. And this is, what do we got here? This guy's just starting to germinate. Looking a little green on top there, but this is Erigeron. what is it? Santa Barbara daisy, fleabane, Mexican fleabane. This is what I've been using for a lot of seeds starting this year. Is these are like to-go containers from the grocery store. Drilled some holes in the bottom of them. They work really well for this broadcast sowing that I've been doing. This is Silene Sabella Carmine. There's a few. Actually, I think I'm going to take that cover off now because I think most of what I put in there. Oh, let's get some light on there. Has germinated. So we'll take that cover off of that. I am going to leave it on the heat mat just for a little bit here. This is Nicotiana, 2 different types, just done this morning. And they were, you can see the little green pellets on there. They're pelleted versions. So those are in their little containers too. And here's some more things that I have started. What are they? Oh, the 2 larger containers are 2 basils. One is Emerald Towers. The other is Minette. And this is, what is it? And that's Purple Ball Basil in the orange there. And that's what's still growing from cuttings there. I have a few dahlia cuttings left. I'm going to probably toss those. I just don't have any more room for anymore. And then I'm growing some geranium cuttings too. So I will pot those up soon, as soon as I get enough roots. So these are the ones. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit more water in the bottom to make sure that everything has soaked up water from the bottom really well. These are some of the ones that were already soaking. I won't let these sit in this water. I will let them absorb what they need, and then I'll dump that water out in probably, I don't know, half an hour or so. Now he's in his dark little home, and he can go right over here. Okay, that was a total marathon of seed starting. It's so much easier, though. I mean, I'd rather just spend one day starting a whole bunch of stuff than have to do like a little bit every day. It's just so messy, and I like to just do all the setup where I get all the trays ready and then do all the seeds. And then, so stay tuned in about, I don't know, what would you say, about a month when I'm asking you all why I grew all these plants from seed, because I know I'm going to say it and I know I'm going to regret it, kind of, until like July when the garden is looking great and I spent pennies on all this. So there is a time in between there though where it's not all happy times. All right. Speaking of happy times, I hope you're having a happy time in your garden or starting seeds or doing whatever you're doing in your garden. We will see you soon. Thank you for watching.